Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 20th May 2023. And here we are with this recap video for our continuing journey of Bhagavad Gita Study, Chapter 7, where we've picked up on verses 24 and 25. Along with me for this video and presentation is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe.
I'll bring up this screen and we'll take a look at what we covered. So as I mentioned, Chapter 7, verses 24 and 25 today. First up, of course, were a few quiz questions to help everyone review last time's content, Chapter 7, verses 21, 22, and 23. As always, please do look at the description for this video. That first link will help you get to a free site where you can get all these slides and other reference material, so you can go through all the quiz questions on a regular basis. So with that, we now shall listen to Chapter 7, verse 24.
Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyante mam abuddhayaha param bhavam ajananto mama avyam anuttamam.
So Chapter 7, verse 24, the catchphrase here as a question is formidable. The key word here being form, because this verse talks about form and formless, but also then helping have an intriguing question about what sort of reverence and feelings do we want to have towards God. He's supreme, he's all-powerful, he has infinite energies, but formidable in terms of a fearful sense, or rather from a loving and bhakti sense. So something for everyone to ponder about. So Chapter 7, verse 24, here Sri Krishna says that those of smaller understanding or the less intelligent ones think that he was formless earlier, and from that converted or evolved into his personal form. In fact, that is incorrect. Sri Krishna says that they actually do not understand that this imperishable, permanent, unborn, unchangeable version of Sri Krishna has always been there. And in fact, we saw that exalted nature, this elevated, noble nature of Sri Krishna's personal form, it simultaneously exists with the formless Brahman. So Swamiji, in the commentary we discussed, he's talked about the two different sides of the debate, where some groups think that God only has a formless version, others think he only has a personal form. We gave a reminder, and we see it here as well. Chapter 4, verse 6, we had learned earlier that both exist simultaneously. If it was only one, it would be incomplete, and it would also unnecessarily be giving credence or strength to us as humans, because we have a form and we claim God cannot have a personal form, or another way of looking at the form versus formless approach. So we have, this introduction here from the Patal Khand, which is that the light of that emanates from the toenails of God's personality. That is what is worshipped as Brahman by the Gyanis. So again, adding validity to the fact that the form and the formless, they exist simultaneously, and it's not that the personal form came after the formless one. And in fact, Swamiji reminds us that both have all the different energies and powers. It's just what gets manifested because of the situations or circumstances. So in particular, with the personal form version of God, we get to also see the accompanying Nam, Roop, Leela, Guna, Dham, Sant, right? Names, forms, pastimes, virtues, abodes, and associates that accompany God for those divine Leelas. All those energies, all those accompaniments are there with Brahman as well, but we don't see them manifested. That is one key difference, which will then lead into Chapter 7, verse 25, which is, well, do some people think of God just as an ordinary human, and why is that the case? We'll see that in the next verse.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam.
Chapter 7, verse 25, The catchphrase here also is a question, veiled view. And as we explained in class, you want to look at it perhaps both ways. The simpler one is God has this veil around him, as we learned today, being called Yog Maya. But his view, of course, is never going to be obscured or incomplete. He can see, sense, perceive everything. But for us, on the other side, we probably fall into one of two categories. Many of us who perhaps have not yet received those blessings and divine grace, divine vision of God, we of course cannot see God or perceive him all the time within or around us. So our view of God is veiled, and clearly because of Yog Maya. But of course, those who have that divine grace, they can see past that veil. They get a complete view of God. So chapter 7, verse 25, as I mentioned, we saw Yog Maya here at length today. Again, we had been introduced to Yog Maya back in chapter 4. We also happened to coincidentally see Yog Maya last week in our Bhagavad Gita recitation class, where we're covering chapter 9. And that coincided also with the next day being Mother's Day. So as we learned today again, that Yog Maya takes on many forms as the mother of the universe. Radha, Sita, Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, Parvati, all that we had talked about last week as well. So reminder through the summary is that early on in this chapter 7 verses 4 and 5, we had started off even before that talking first about Prakriti, and then moving on to these three more important energies of God, as we see through this Vishnu Puran shloka and Maharaji's Bhakti Shatak as well. So namely, those three energies are Maya, the soul energy Jeev Shakti, and today, as we learned, Yog Maya. So all these three are, of course, very important and powerful. The all-powerful energy is Yog Maya. And that is God's divine energy that, as we mentioned, it has two functions. One is that, it obscures our view of God till, of course, we surrender, till we practice all that bhakti. We have to, of course, with God's grace and benefit, overcome Maya. Maya, we reminded you, sort of that analogy Swamiji had given of that guard dog at, God's house. So God comes and, when we seek God's help, we surrender to God, then Maya's role stops there. So God takes over and says, I'll handle it from here. How he handles it, we saw that next step of the process today. He has Yog Maya, his other half, his divine energy, all-powerful energy that will grace us with that divine vision to then actually see and connect with God. So Yog Maya helps God perform all of his divine leelas in the spiritual realm, and of course here in dissensions on the earth plane. It also, of course, as we said, obscures the view, yet gets us over, of course, to getting that grace from God. So in essence, we also saw in Vrindavan, and of course elsewhere also, Radhe Radhe, Sham Se Milade. We saw that also through one of the songs we played in class. Maybe I'll do that in a couple of minutes after Mummy talks. And that is a summary first, of course, for Yog Maya. Again, those two functions. And finally, the important English word we have seen before, yet once more, adding it to your dictionaries or reminding yourselves about it, bereft. We do not want to be spiritually bereft or bereft of the grace that Yog Maya can give. Bereft meaning forcibly deprived. Mummy, I'll pass it over to you now for some Sanskrit words and other comments.
Yeah, so from verse number 24, I have chosen the very important word. It is Vyaktim. Vyaktim means possessing a personality. And in this verse, Sri Krishna himself is saying that he has a personal form. Okay? Krishna is imperishable and ever always there. And he himself is saying that he has a personal form. He can be both formless and form. And from verse number 25, I have chosen the word, again, very important word is Samavritaha. Samavritaha means veiled. Veiled means covered. Who has covered Krishna or God? That is his very powerful energy, which is called Yog Maya. So Krishna he himself is telling us that is his third energy, Yog Maya energy. And that is very powerful energy with which he has veiled himself, so that we all ordinary people, we cannot see him. And how to see him? That energy, Yogmaya energy, manifests in the form of Mother of Universe also. Because that Mother of Universe is very compassionate and forgiving, and she's the one giving us causeless love, and then she's the one who will grace us. So if we surrender, if we purify our heart, if we surrender to God, and then we ask, Radhe Radhe Sham se mila de, O Radha Rani, bol Radhe, chale aayenge Bihari, bol Radhe. So once we surrender, and once we go to Radharani, we pray to her with purified heart that we, O Radharani, please, with your causeless love, and forgive us and grace us. And then only we'll be having that divine vision to see Shri Krishna, or get to Shri Krishna, or meet Shri Krishna. So today we learned a very important word, this Yogmaya power, and that is the energy which Krishna has used to veil himself. Okay, with that, over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mommy. In fact, let's just listen for a minute to that lovely song. And
that is a bhajan, and the one you had quoted words, that was from Patal Khand.
Yes, in the commentary, Patal Khand.
Patal Khand, okay?
Yeah, chapter 7, verse 24.
Where it says, Patal Khand is the part of Padam Puran, okay? Padma Puran ka, there is a part. Khand means part. So from that part, this verse has, Swamiji has quoted this verse.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so let's listen to this one for about a minute.
पूछते हो कैसे कैसे पूछते हो कैसे कैसे पूछते हो कैसे चले आएंगे मुरारी कौन सी सुनाए धुन लगे उन्हें प्यारी पूछते हो कैसे चले आएंगे मुरारी कौन सी सुनाए धुन लगे उन्हें प्यारी बोल राधे चलेंगे मुरारी बोल राधे चलेंगे मुरारी बोल राधे.
Beautiful bhajan, and many times when we go to the temple and we see the deities, and somebody asks, does God ever come in this deity, in his personal form? So here the answer is there, the philosophy is there, that Bol Radhe, chale aayenge murari, Bol Radhe. So it is, we have to pray to Radha Rani. We have to get her causeless love. We have to get her grace, so that Shri Krishna comes in front of us. With that, I will take your leave. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, very lovely and, spiritually graceful. So certainly look forward to hearing that more and more. We do look forward to seeing you all next week. Again, it's same time, same place, Saturday, 27th May, 2023, 8 a.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. India time, Bhagavad Gita study for this series. And if you can, of course, now or next week as well, Bhagavad Gita recitation, 11 a.m. Central Time, 9:30 p.m. India time. Till then, thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.